All right, so I'm joined here by Harley and Harley Jr. This story came across, my airwaves, and when somebody sent it to me, and they sent me a Reddit post about a amateur father who was detained at Ironman Lake Placid, and I'm reading the article, and there's clearly not a full story here. So one of the guys on the Ironman broadcast team actually told me to interview you, and I looked you up, saw that you had a Facebook, and I immediately started looking at your pictures, like, what kind of guy are we talking about here? And dude, it seems like you're a normal father, and it seems like you have a close relationship with your son. So I'm like, yeah, there's clearly more to the story to this. So I guess can you just tell us, how old you are, where you live, and can you tell us what happened that day?
Yeah, of course. And first off, thank you for this opportunity. And I want to thank actually Ironman and Lake Placid, the police and everything. Everybody did exactly what they were supposed to do to protect my son. And I am forever grateful that his interests were actually looked at. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do as a community and a society. And this is an unfortunate misunderstanding of the events, a series of unfortunate events, as they would say. I live in Buffalo, New York. I'm 44, single father now. Doing my best with fighting, court systems and how they work that out when situations arise when parents can't get along. So we're trying to navigate this as best we can. And the Ironman trip is something that I do an annual event. I'm not in Ironman. I don't train for triathlons like a lot of these people that do. I put in maybe 5-6 hours of actual training a weekend if I can get it. But my job is pretty physical. And I use it as a fitness training in an attempt to go to Hawaii. Harley, that's where you want me to take you? So, as this journey started, this was my 6th actual event for the Legacy program.
So you're going for the legacy, which is 12 races, right?
Yeah.
And 12 Ironmans, and your son wants to go to Kona. So this is your son wants to go to Kona. This is definitely going to be a long way to get there because you have to do 12 of them. You're halfway through, and yeah. So, anyways, keep going.
So that's kind of been what we've been working on in regards to like what triathlon and Ironman is all about. I use these for a vacation for the family, go and see different places around the nation. I really enjoy the community and what this sport teaches the individual about discipline, hard work, perseverance, a lot of the things that we're to know and understand out of the Bible and being Christians. And that's also something that's quite important for me to install in my son. So originally the plan was me and my older son and Harley Jr. were going to come out to Lake Placid, spend the week fishing, boys trip, and both of them would see me actually finish my first Ironman. They've both seen me do an Olympic distance here locally, but those events aren't nearly what Ironman brings to the sport and the excitement and the whole hoopla of this. So for them to get to see that, I wanted to have as an experience. My older son got caught up with work. He's got 2 jobs, helping his mother as well, as she's not. She's got a couple of things that are sick, so he does so much for her, and it's a blessing that he's able to do that. But he wasn't able to make the trip, so Harley and I ended up walking through the Ironman village while they were setting it all up. And his brother had told me that, look, I'm not going to be able to make it. I've got one last opportunity to maybe make it for the weekend. I was like, well, see what you can do, and I'll go look into what Ironman would offer from the VIP. And as we were walking through there, I'm telling Harley that this is what we might have to look at, or I might not be able to do the race. And he's like, well, why don't you ask these 2 ladies over here? And he points to two ladies sitting over in a VIP kind of area, just chatting and whatnot. I'm like, I don't know, nothing's really open. I don't think they'd be able to help us other than give us some direction towards, who we'd talk to. He's like, just go ask me. So we walk over and I introduce myself and Harley. We explain the situation in regards to his brother not being able to make it and me not possibly being able to race. Miss Audra, Audra, she, well, we might have had it incorrect too, but anyways, she's like, hold on a minute, and gets up and leaves, and we speak to I want to say it was Miss Kathy, and we're talking about being in the sport and what we're doing, the being up in Lake Placid for the first time, how beautiful it was. Miss Audra comes back and gives him the VIP pass and the bracelet, puts it on him, and says, all right, we're going to make sure that you see everything you need to for your dad to do this race. And, I'll take care of it. And she looks at me and says, you don't have the option of not finishing. I was like, understood, because that's what we came here for.
Yep.
Harley and I both took this as a blessing. I was like, this is probably like a $500-$600 package that they're giving you so you can see me race. Like, we need to say some prayers and give some thanks. And I didn't technically understand what the rules were that came with that, because none of that was ever presented to me. We also had two friends of ours that were from Buffalo that are part of the local tri club here. They were volunteering in the tent for the event. So they did the wetsuit stripping and then did transition. So the plan was that we had tried to work out was after they were done working, they'd come and check on Harley at the VIP tent right at the finish line there, because they were going to move from the beach where we actually stood right next to the announcer singing the national anthem. It was the most amazing experience. I couldn't believe how cool it was. And for Harley to see it, he was so excited.
Yeah.
So he got up into the VIP tent. The day of the race for the bike, it downpoured probably 6 hours of the race. It was a very trying course, even in good weather. For, some of these athletes make it look like this is everyday bike ride for them. I'm not. I'm your everyday guy that, can get out there and push through 112 miles, but I'm not training to be a super athlete. Yeah. So I had some complications, some dicey situations. My shoe blew apart on the bike. The bike derailleur was on the small wheel for probably about 40 miles. I struggled. We got some corrections at one of the aid stations, which was fantastic. And I was able, once the rain stopped and I could warm up, able to start cheering the fans on who stayed out there with us. As I come in to transition, I'm looking for Harley on the hill, and one of the race directors was there, kind of with an upset look on his face. And I was like, is everything all right with my son? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, come with me. We've been looking for you for a while. And I kind of was like, you got a chip on my foot. You knew where I was. I was like, everything's all right with Harley? He's like, yeah. So we go up onto the VIP stage, and Harley's sitting there. He's still tracking me on his phone. He's looking a little upset at this point, but I believe that's because he realized that, something wasn't right with what was going on. All of this happened within, the last half hour of me coming into transition. So I would have been, given normal circumstances, probably on the run, third of the way through or something. I'm maybe a 13, 14-hour guy for this type of race.
Yeah.
We had prepared for being him up there and kind of independent. I'm raising a young man that is designed for the world ahead, to be self-sufficient, to understand right from wrong, to be competent, helpful to those around him, listen to, those that are put in charge over him for certain things. We had just went camping 2 weeks before that, and I didn't see him nearly any of the day. He'd show up for meals and See you later, Dad. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, this is what happens when, you turn 9 and you start to understand your independence. He's far from an incapable young man. And I'm really focusing on building his confidence and knowing and understanding that the Lord is who actually guides our steps. And our job is to do what we can to help all of our neighbors, our friends, our families, and be upstanding citizens. So
Now, this is the big problem here is there's a huge split online about this because nobody knows the full story. So I would say it's 60, 40, 55, 45, 50, 50, however you want to split it, where
yeah.
people say if this was a generation before, there's no problem with this. But now with who knows? Parenting's different, styles are different. There's a problem with this. So I guess when you come into transition and you see Harley Jr. there, who's looking upset, and you think everything's on the up and up, what happens next?
Well, it was just some questions, processing. They handled it very candidly.
So there was a police officer there.
There were 2 of them. Yeah.
It was Placid Police, right? It wasn't New York State Troopers.
Yes. So, and apparently, I didn't actually find this out how everything transpired till yesterday from Harley's point of view. We didn't really discuss it much on the drive home. But apparently, he was asked by one of the volunteers who he was there with, and he said his dad. And she's like, "Is there anybody else here with you?" And he's like, "No." I don't believe they asked him how he got there, but they did ask for his mother's phone number. So somebody called his mother, and then about 10 minutes later, his mother called him, and then the police. So I'm assuming that this has something to do in that regard. And I've got to handle that. Again, the way the New York court systems work in regards to family court and custody and everything has been a 3-year battle I've been involved in, unfortunately.
Now, so let me get this straight. Iron Man isn't the one who rang the alarm. Iron Man might have wanted to make sure that. Actually, let me go back. So what happened to the 2 friends that were volunteering?
They were still working in the tent, and after I was processed and discharged, and they told me and Harley to go home, have a nice day, see you on the 7th. I had to go back in and get all of my gear and my bike and everything, and both of them were closing up the transition tent.
Okay,
so I don't even think they got spoken with on the day of the event. Because I did get a message from one of them on their ride home the day after telling me the cops just called.
Okay. So it sounds like, and I'm just going to assume, maybe this happened. It sounds like your ex-wife fully didn't understand what was happening in terms of who was watching Harley. Harley didn't know how to communicate who was responsible for him. And then there wasn't communication with an Iron Man saying, no, we know this. There's volunteers who are looking after him. They're just not done yet type of deal. So it sounds like the cops took the mother's word, which sounds like that's the normal thing to do. And they took it to the next level because they kind of had to. They were forced to.
Yes, and that's the way this works. Their hand got forced due to the situation and what statutes and codes can say. So, the legalese stuff that goes on is a little troublesome, and though it is designed with good purposes, it can be misused.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Do you think if you're uncomfortable answering this, I completely understand. Do you think your ex-wife was escalating it on purpose, or do you think that she generally wasn't fully understood and she just assumed maybe Harley Jr. was just left unattended?
No, with the way all of this is playing out, this is more of an escalation in regard. What? In Farkle? That's awesome.
Okay, so you think your ex-wife blew this out of proportion?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's difficult because the interest of my son is what's imperative, and the fact we can't actually try to have a dialogue is making it even more difficult. So
okay.
I'm in constant prayer for this situation and my son to actually not have to go through what is typically drawn out in, American divorces, it seems.
Yeah. Wow. So now that I understand and everyone listening understands the full picture here, that's the one thing about, these articles and, this sensationalism of these incidences is I clearly was reading this article and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This community doesn't have people who would just neglect their children unknowingly, like leave them to the wolves. Even if you are raising an independent son, like you had checks and balances in there, you had people reassuring you. It just seemed like it was a perfect storm of unfortunate events. Now, do you have any regret with how this panned out? What do you see yourself doing differently if you go back there and it's kind of the same situation? Do you not race? Do you make sure that your friends that are volunteering come and check on Harley periodically? Like, do you put any blame on Ironman?
No. Yeah, I mean, Iron Man's not to blame. Like, this was a gift, and I believe everything was done in full intention to give Harley an amazing experience and be able to see me race and finish an Iron Man. The first Iron Man I ever did, he was in a stroller in Maryland, and I wanted so bad to push him underneath that when I finished in, like, it was a 15:43 or something like that. But I wanted to push him underneath there and have him here. Harley, Tong, you're an Iron Man. Like, that's the last 50 yards is the only thing I race for.
Yeah, man, that's yeah, amen. I mean, wow. So, it's unfortunate that your name's getting thrown around there in these articles. I respect the police. I got tons of friends that are state troopers. My stepfather's NYPD. So, like, I also was wondering, was this a police officer who just didn't want to stand at the finish line and was like, I'd rather go do paperwork? And I'm so happy to hear that it wasn't.
Yeah, and I'm not sure because in this community, how I would like portray it is, wait, your dad's like out on the race and you just made it through that rain. Like, who are we cheering for? What number? Like, I'm
Yeah.
stuck here getting paid to watch this tent. Like, let's watch it together.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the funniest comments though that was in one of the threads there was that dude was on pace for a 16-hour Ironman. Did he pack him a sleeping bag? And I'm like, that's quite clever. And yeah, on point. I was really slow, given the circumstances. But he had everything that he needed. I mean, Harley, how was your experience until you had to talk to somebody? What? Hey. Good. You're good. What was your favorite part about what you watched?
Being next to all the pro athletes.
Being next to all the pro athletes, and who are we cheering for in the pros?
Number 18.
Number 18, Katie, right?
Yeah, and what was...
And Ray next to us, number 1464. We had another Ironman staying in the room next to us at Trout Run, the hotel.
Okay.
Or the Hungry Trout, I believe. And we actually gave him a ride in the morning. And part of what I was also trying to do, but chaos ensues Monday or the morning of race day. His uncle was a spectator for the event, but he had to come down after. So I took down that gentleman to the race start. And he finished, I don't know, 12:47 or something like that. But he was looking forward to following me and meeting up with Harley after he had finished as well, because we were going to go out to eat in the hotel and everything afterwards. So, I mean...
So Harley was cheering on pro number 14?
18.
18? Let me see who that is, because I'm friends with a lot of the pros.
The females, number 18.
Oh, Katie Colville.
Yeah. Like, she was super friendly. We ended up following her in. She was pushing her bike in. I was like, Harley, we got to get out of the way. Like, look at that bike. That's super expensive. And I was like, are you by chance one of the professionals? And she's like, yeah. And then we looked her up and Harley got to meet her. And he's like, all right, at the start, as we were actually being walked out to be processed, she had finished and was standing there. So we got to congratulate her on her time and everything and what place she finished as we walked over to the police station.
All right. Now, my last thing is, and I'm sorry, this story has been great. I mean, it really does paint a picture. I hope it makes people feel really dumb online. about their aggressive opinions, and maybe they take a minute and just really understand what the full story is. Now, do you think this is going to turn Harley Jr. into like a Batman story where he comes in and he starts winning Ironman races and becomes a pro triathlete?
Right. I'm hoping that he just wants to be involved in something that continually makes him better every day.
Uh-huh.
And putting in the effort is not something we're supposed to do. You got to put the effort in, and
Yep.
that goes with all things in life, not just triathlon, but in being a good person and a value to your community. You got to put the effort in and help everybody they can.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Wow, this really, I mean, it's this not a crazy story once you hear all the series of unfortunate events. So I appreciate you coming on and telling your side and really giving all the listeners the full story of what happened.
Yeah, and again, I want to say thank you to all the police up there in Lake Placid, the Ironman event coordinators, especially Miss Audra, who did gift this to him to give him the most amazing Ironman experience one could have, especially for their first one. The first one I ever watched, it was a much different experience for me, and I was an adult, and that's what actually got me into doing triathlons with my Uncle Jim from Vegas.
Nice.